Good morning to a brand new day. Time to learn and games to play. Learning things is so much fun. Learning is good for everyone.
Hello, early learners. It's me, Mrs. Readwright, back in the art room, welcoming you for Final Friday. Now, Final Friday, we're finishing up Henri Matisse's Apples on a Table. And remember, the art room is a place where we look at art, we talk about art, we create art, and we meet famous artists. And this week we have been talking about Henri Matisse, such an interesting artist. He was one of the few artists that I know that really stayed and lived with his family. He had a daughter and son, and his daughter became an artist, and she was his apprentice, and she would help him, and she was the one person who really understood her dad. She understood how important his art was to him, and she didn't mind that he worked a lot, because she would be there with him, helping him and doing her own art. And you'll see he uses her in a lot of his artwork. She's one of his models. And I wanted to tell you about Matisse also, that he was interesting in the way that he didn't just stay with one kind of art. Remember, he wasn't an artist at all in the beginning. He was studying law like his dad wanted him to. And then in the hospital, he learned how art helps you fill your time and makes you feel like safe, and it doesn't take a lot of energy if you're getting well after being sick. And he burnt an end of a stick and drew on the wall with it. He also had people who helped him. He had helpers who would stand at the wall, and when he would cut out pieces of art, he would hand it to them and say, "Put it a little higher. No, a little lower. Move the blue one over here. Oh, let's put the red one in the center." And the artist would hold it up and they would pin it. And then he would finally say, "Glue it down." And that's when he was doing his cut paper. Let's sing the song about Hello first. And then we'll move from the Hello song to go over to the Matisse song and sing about him. But let's sing our Hello song. And remember this song? It is an echo song. I sing, you sing exactly what I sang. Then I sing and you sing. I sing and you sing. And the little picture that's on the song is of a person calling out, "Hello!" And then the echo goes, "Hello!" And she says, "How are you?" And the echo says, "How are you?" And so that's why I added that picture to the song. Here we go. Let me sit up straight so my air gets into my lungs. Hello there, how are you, how are you? It's so good to see you, we'll sing and we'll be happy that we're all here together again. Alrighty, let me set this down and talk a little bit about our project. I hope you were able to do the first few steps of the project. The project started out where we had a plain piece of white paper and we talked about tracing a giant circle. The giant circle was to be the plate. I drew another circle around that to make the plate larger and have a rim. I used a little circle to draw small circles around the edge. I made sure that we were making it a bird's eye view. And a bird's eye view is how a bird might see the art. He might be looking down from above and see all of the stems are coming out of the apple at the top. So all of the part we see is this part. All the stems. On this one, there's a little green and yellow with mostly a red apple. On this apple, it's mostly red stripes going down with some yellow polka dots. It has some blue in here and kind of purple. This one is all green. You think it's all green till you look a little closer, and there are little polka dots that go down, 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 and it's showing that it has some depth of color. Now, between these two, we talked about on Monday, one is a warm color and one is a cool color. And most of the apples in the print by Matisse are mostly warm colored apples, mostly reds and yellows. And there is that one green, cool color. And when we continue with our art today, we recognize that warm and cool colors want to be a contrast or different, because on the color wheel, all the warm colors are in one area, all the cool colors are in another. And so if you're thinking, oh, I want to make some contrast, what do? Look straight across from the color that you're using. That's called its complement. It's its complementary color. So if you start on green and drive over, there's red. If you start on blue and drive over, it's orange. If you start on purple and drive over, it's yellow. So if you want to make it very different, you would use the complementary color. And we're going to go over and recognize that we did a cool color on the background. I used a little bit of cool color to start shading in around my apples, but now I'm going to teach you how to use the paints directly on the paper where you saw me mix them in the past lessons on a palette. And I put the colors together when we were doing Van Gogh. I put the colors together on the palette when we were doing Caillebotte, when I painted the man in the gray suit in the Paris picture. But now we're going to take our colors, and I'm going to go around in a circle and paint around and around, because we want it to look like a form and not just a plain round circle. So when I go over, you'll see me, they call it loading up your brush. I'm going to load my brush up with the main color, and then I'm going to dip back in with the color I want to add in. Dip it in, add it. Dip it in and add it. So come on over to the easel where I'm going to paint. I'm not even going to point out anything on my picture of the apples on the table, because we've looked at it all week long and you'll get the idea. So meet me over at the easel, boys and girls, and see what we have here. All righty, let me unstrap my brushes and see which ones I think I will use. I think I'll start with kind of a square brush. Oh no, this round one will be good. I'm going to start out, let me show you. I buy my eggs in a carton like this. And so I can close the carton up and close it up so the paint is in there. And it stays good and doesn't get all dried up. So let me set it down and reach in and load up my brush with red. I'm going to go around and around. Do you notice I'm trying to stay away from the black right now? Because that's where I'm going to do some shading if I want. I'm getting next to where I put the stem. Notice I'm not rushing. I'm going in a circle, around and around. I'm going to wash my brush a little. You don't have to, but I want to, and normally I wipe it off on a piece of paper, but I'm going to do this. Make my stripes down. Because I'm looking down on the apple, and I'll load up a little bit more and put it in where the stem is. Most of those green apples on the dish have a little bit of green in them. I'm going to get a little bit of green and add it in here. Maybe in here in the stem area, and maybe a little around the edge. I see my shading is down here. I'm going to do a little bit of shading. Now that my brush is green, I'm going to put this apple as green. I'm going to do this far side dark green. I'm going to reach in right away and get my yellow to mix a little yellow over here. because I don't want my apples to all be one color, or someone will think that I just wasn't thinking of what I learned about shades and value. A little more yellow. Let me rinse my brush. I might even have to do a little drawing on my apron. There we go. I'm going to put red here, but I'm going to make it go down a little bit like this and add mostly yellow. I think I'll use a different brush and just let this red one stay here. Don't get on the table, Mrs. Read-Wright. This table doesn't belong to you. My tables have paint on them. I should be more careful. Look at how I'm going around in a circle. Remember how I mentioned going around in a circle is helpful? It makes your painting look more like an apple, a real apple. I can bring it in from down below. And when I go back and get my yellow brush, I can blend it a little bit more and make my apple even more interesting. And then of course on the edge I want to go around so that it looks like it has been blended. Going to in the middle to go over this a little bit so there's some interesting color. The next apple I'm going to do mostly yellow. And I have some of my red paint still in it. So it's swirling around and around in a circle. Look, I don't even have to add much to it because my brush already had a little red. I'm going to go back in. I don't want to put two reds too close together. So I'm going to go up to this one, staying close to my black outline. And I'm going to add a little green around the edges. And I think I'm going to finish this later because I think it's almost time to say goodbye. So let's go back to my chair and get ready to say goodbye to one another. We have been learning so many things about art and about still life. We have looked at art and mostly apples with our still life, but there are other still lifes you can do. You can do pictures of flowers and all kinds of things, and we'll talk more about that next week. Because now is the time to say goodbye. My, how fast the time did fly. Our day is done, so we must say goodbye, goodbye for today. And I want you to know we'll continue with Matisse, I think, next week in the cut paper. So get some colored paper and pencils and be ready to paint with scissors. All right, boys and girls, thank you very much for a great week about Matisse and comparing him to Cezanne and a bird's eye view. Bye-bye, boys and girls.
Good morning to a brand new day. Time to learn and games to play. Learning things is so much fun. Learning is good for everyone.